Well, thank you so much, Pearl. Of course, with both the state and defense wrapping up their final arguments in mitigation and aggravation of sentence, we now gear up to hear what Judge Thokozile Masipa will tell us the appropriate sentence for the Paralympian will be, and that will be on the 6th of July. But of course, to wrap up the day's proceedings and help us get some legal analysis, we're now joined by Advocate Llewellyn Curlewis, will help us unpack what happened in court today. Good afternoon, Advocate. Of course, we start with the first testimony that we heard today, which was, of course, also the state's last witness, and that was Riva Steenkamp's cousin, Kim Martin. Do you think that her testimony had, the strong impact that everybody had hoped for?
No, I must be honest with you. I did not consider evidence to be of that paramount importance. I don't think they actually assisted the court necessarily under the circumstances. There might have been one or two aspects which he corroborated, but all in all, I do think they could have considered maybe calling somebody else that could have given better character evidence or other evidence before court. So I was not necessarily impressed with that person being called as a witness.
And of course, you said earlier that it was almost a dangerous move by the state.
Yes, you must remember Kim testified on the previous occasion as well. So that evidence was already before court. And the moment the state decided to call her back to call this morning again, obviously that opened the door for Barry Roux to cross-examine not only on today's evidence but also on the previous evidence that she given. And Barry Roux actually started off with a bang and actually informed the court that that is exactly what he's going to do. But ultimately it turned out not to be of such a magnificent nature.
And of course, Barry Roux, starting with his final arguments, and the first thing he said was highlighting that there are other factors that are at play in this matter, naming them the four enemies in this matter. And one of them was what he said, the public perception that he believes that had a very strong influence in the matter.
Yes, he made mention of so-called enemies for the defence case. Once again, that did not impress me much. Personally, I think he was in any event bound by the parameters and the guidelines that was handed down by the Supreme Court of Appeal and the findings not only on fact but also on merits handed down by Judge Leach specifically at the SCA. So to come here today and to argue anything contrary to whatever was said by the SCA will not be tolerated by Judge Masipa in any event.
But then he went for the jugular, parading Oscar Pistorius on his stumps, something that has never been really broadcast live. Of course, he has been on his stumps previously, but it was the first time that we actually saw him live on television.
In my mind, that was the best move by the defence thus far in sentencing. That evidence was emotional. It was to the point. It showed Oscar Pistorius in a vulnerable position. That was exactly the kind of character evidence he wanted to introduce before court. Personally, I think that was the best move. That was the ace up his sleeve. And thus far, like I said, for today's matter, that was the best evidence provided to court.
The state, in their closing arguments, then asking the court to, of course, administer justice and consider the suffering that the victim's family had endured. And Advocate Gerrie Nel hit back, asking for of course, graphic, pictures of Riva Steenkamp to be publicized.
Yeah, you must remember, in order to contradict or maybe balance the scales out, Gerrie Nel had to do something after that performance by the defence. And he literally had a trump up his sleeve as well. So what he did is to balance it out. He said, but listen, in that case, now that we've seen Oscar Pistorius, we might just as well also see Riva Steenkamp. And you remember yesterday, Riva's father also indicated that he would like to expose photographs of her and pictures of her body and of the wounds over national TV and worldwide television as well. And he got onto that bandwagon. He requested the court to order so, and ultimately the court actually ordered that at least 6 photographs can be displayed in open public.
course, just our last question, Advocate Gerrie Nel putting great emphasis on the fact that he believes there was a lack of remorse from the Paralympians' side, telling the court that the state still believes that he has not told the truth. It was also what came out of Kim Martin's testimony, saying, but we don't believe your version.
Yeah, the problem that Barry Roux faced is that Oscar Pistorius decided not to come and testify in his own mitigation. So every now and then Gerrie Nel obviously referred back to the opportunity that he had to come and take the court into his confidence and tell the court why he did what he did. Up to now he did not do so. So that reiterates the fact that maybe he's not that remorseful as indicated by his counsel. Although obviously by calling him to the witness, before court this morning to parade him in open court, that could be the counter argument for that explanation. But all in all, it is a point of contention, and the court will definitely make something about it. Remember, Oscar Pistorius, not too long ago, a week or two ago, indicated that he's willing to have an interview with the international television company, a media house. But when he was requested to come and explain himself in open court in his own mitigation before sentence, he decided not to do so. So obviously, Gerrie Nel would make something out of that.
All right. We still have a little bit of time. We thought that, of course, we'll hear the final, sentence being handed down this coming Friday, but the judge decided differently. Yeah. She has actually moved it, forward a bit. Is there, a good explanation behind this? Perhaps.
Well, there's always a good explanation. Remember, there's no time frames for a judge to make a decision. A judge must consider all relevant aspects. I mean, the heads of arguments today amounted to voluminous papers, and obviously for the best part of the day, arguments was brought before her. So obviously all those things must be considered. The case law that was referred to, she must go and read it up. She must confirm the correctness thereof, all those kind of aspects. One would have liked the matter to be finalised. The matter was set down until Friday, and in most instances there was no real reason not to finalise the matter, even if she sentenced and then reserved the right to hand down written reasons at a later stage. She could have done so as well. But obviously Judge Masipa is very thorough in her investigation, and obviously she would like to do some homework as well. And make no mistake, the next month she will take time and effort to do proper reading, to familiarise herself with all the arguments on both sides before she hand down what we would like to see as a just sentence under the circumstances.
All right, thank you so much. Of course, a legal expert, Advocate Llewellyn Curlewis, there breaking down the last day of the Oscar Pistorius, of course, resentencing hearing here at the North Gauteng High Court. Now we look forward to hear what the future holds for the Paralympian, what exactly his punishment will be when we come back on the 16th of July. It's back to you in the studio.
That was our reporter, Patricia Fasaki, having spoken to a legal expert as far as the proceedings that took place in the Gauteng North High Court today.